Hey, folks, I know that it's getting tough out there financially. We are actually in a time in our country right now where it is the most expensive time to ever be alive in recorded history, right? The cost of housing, the cost of vehicles, the cost of insurance, the cost of groceries, everything is going up. And in this video, I'm going to show you a way that a lot of people out there are breaking that cycle by eliminating their housing expenses. And this is not some kind of scam. All right. This is not a trick. This is something that most people watching this video can do. And a lot of people, including myself in the Tuscaloosa area, are doing this right now as well. So in this video, I'm going to show you 4 strategies that you can use right now in Tuscaloosa, Alabama to totally eliminate your living expenses. And in fact, we're lucky in Tuscaloosa because we've got one strategy that a lot of the other parts of the country do not have. So make sure to stay tuned for that. So 4 strategies that we're going to go over, 4 ways that you can totally eliminate your housing expense. All right, this is step 1 of a 3-step system that I am following and that my local investor community is following. It's a 5-year plan, and step 1 is just part of it. All right, I'm going to share step 1 with you today. If you want to go further, or if you'd like to hop onto a video chat and talk more about step 1 or what the next step is, you can click the link below. There's a link to our Tuscaloosa Real Estate Investor Club Facebook group, and that's where you can find out where and when our next live event is going to be. Okay, uh, our group is called the Tuscaloosa Cash-Flow Breakfast Club. We meet at night, okay, but it's called the Breakfast Club because a bunch of us, in the group meet in between meetings. We meet for breakfast, we meet for lunch, we meet for coffee. We've got a whole community of people that are following this 5-year plan to not only get out of debt, but to replace their income so they can make the decision whether or not they want to keep working or not. Right. So if that sounds too good to be true to you, I promise you it's not. Would love to show you more about that. Click the link below to find out when our next event is. And our group is totally free. All right. There's a few things you have to commit to be in the group, but you're not going to pay a monthly fee or a one-time fee to join our group. The coaching training is totally free. There's not a VIP club. There's not a VIP group. There's not a online community that you got to pay extra for. If you are looking to not only get out of debt, but become financially independent, you owe it to yourself to check out our next meeting. And if this video resonates with you, please click the link below to like and subscribe to the channel. That lets me know that I'm creating content that you enjoy. It makes me feel a little bit better, and it lets me know that you're out there watching. Hopefully you're getting value from this stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into the 4 strategies, 4 ways to eliminate your housing payment. Now, the reason why this is step 1 is because for most people, this is the easiest and the fastest step that you're going to take towards financial independence. Okay. If you already have a house, great. You're going to be able to implement this. If you don't have a house yet, then it's really good that you're watching this video because these 4 steps, these 4 strategies should probably dictate which kind of house you end up buying, because if you buy the wrong property, you're not going to be able to do any of these strategies. Okay. So this works really great for people that already have a house. If you don't have a house yet, this is hopefully going to help you figure out what kind of house to buy. Okay. So, and the reason why this is so easy is because for most people, if you didn't have a house payment anymore, you would have breathing room. If you didn't have a house payment anymore, you could start paying off some of that consumer debt you have, credit cards, medical bills, car payments. If you didn't have that house payment, you could start getting ahead in life. And most Americans spend about 40% of their income on their house, right? The house payment, the utilities, the insurance, everything. So on a 5-day work week, that means you're working Monday and Tuesday every week just to pay your house. Okay. If you're working a 6-day work week or a 7-day work week, you're working even more than that just to cover your housing expense. So if we could just get that one expense covered, it's going to free you up to move on to step 2 and step 3. So let's jump into strategy number 1. Okay, strategy number 1, I'm going to put these up here on the board. Number 1 is called the house hack. All right. You might be familiar with the term. If you're not, I'm going to explain it to you very simply. Okay. House hack is when let's say you buy a 3 to 4 bedroom, or you buy a multifamily, a 2-unit, a 3-unit, or a 4-unit complex, which you can actually get an FHA loan on a 4-unit apartment building, right? So a house hack is where you buy a property, and let's say that it had 4 apartments in it. Let's say each one was 2 bedroom, 1 bath. You live in one, you rent out the other 3, and the other 3 covers the payment for the whole building, which means you're getting to live there for free. Okay, that's a very simple concept. This works really, really well in an area like Tuscaloosa, right? There's also, places where you can do it by the bedroom. There's people buying 4 or 5 bedroom houses, and they're using websites like Pad Split, PADSPLIT, Pad Split. They're splitting the pad, and people are attracted to this way of living, right? They can live and pay by the bedroom. They can live in a nicer community. They don't have to live in an apartment building, maybe with a bunch of people that are partying, and being able to hear your neighbors above you, and being able to hear the neighbors, coming and going in the parking lot. Maybe you get a 4 or 5 bedroom house and you rent out the bedrooms. Maybe you get a 3 or 4 unit apartment complex, a multifamily unit, and you live in one of them and you rent out the other 3. That's what a house hack is. So that's number 1. Okay. Number two is one that is very specific to our area. Other parts of the country aren't necessarily able to do this, but in Tuscaloosa, we have this extra strategy that we can use. And that's where you take your house that you currently have and you put it on VRBO or Airbnb, and you rent your existing house out as a short-term rental. Okay. I have clients that have bought houses in Tuscaloosa and Northport. They simply put their houses up on VRBO and Airbnb, and they rent them out for the 7 Alabama football weekends. All right, Alabama normally plays 7 home games in Tuscaloosa, and we just had the Alabama-Tennessee game. The average nightly rate in the Tuscaloosa area was $11.67 per night. Okay, so do the math on that. You're getting a 3 or 4 night minimum times 7 weekends. That doesn't even include graduation. That doesn't include Easter. That doesn't include some of the parent weekends. And excuse me. And what they do is they simply go somewhere else for the weekend, right? They go visit grandma. They go, 3 hours up the road to Nashville, Tennessee. They go down south to the Alabama Gulf Coast, stay at the beach. Some of them have a camper, and they go to the camper. Put the camper somewhere. Go travel an hour or 2 outside of town where you can actually get a camper spot, because the camper spots are even pretty booked up during football season. But we've got clients that do that just for those 7 home game weekends, and they make enough money on those 7 weekends to pay the mortgage payment for all 12 months of the year. Okay. So in a second, I'm going to share with you okay, we get our house payment covered. What's kind of next? I'm going to go over that with you towards the end. But step 1 is just getting somebody else to cover your house payment so that it's not coming out of your pocket. Okay. So the renters come in for the weekend. You do that over the course of 7 weekends or over the course of a couple months. Again, there's areas where that's a little bit better, but you would be surprised how far out people will stay. And if you've got a 3 or 4 bedroom house even on the outskirts of town, if it's clean, if it's easy to get to the university for those football weekends in Tuscaloosa, you can make a lot of money just by doing Airbnb and VRBO on your current house. Okay. You don't have to go buy another house and turn it into an Airbnb. You can buy a house in our area, or if you already own one, you can turn that one into a cash flowing property. And all you need to do on step one is just get enough to cover your mortgage payment for the year. Okay. So that's 1 and 2. Number 3 is one that you might not like it, but I think it's a valid one. And there's people that are in this situation where it makes sense. So if you own a house already and you're kind of feeling, you're kind of feeling what we would say house poor. All right. What house poor is you make enough money to pay your bills. You're kind of living paycheck to paycheck. You're not really getting ahead. Maybe you can't go do the things you want to do. You can't afford the vehicle you want. You can't afford the vacation you want. Maybe you can't afford the clothes you want because you kind of just work and you pay your bills and you don't really have much left over. That's what we would call house poor, right? So there are some people where strategy number 3 makes sense, and that's where you simply move out and you turn your home into a rental property. Now, there's some caveats to this. We've had some people. I've had some people here locally that have said things like, hey, I bought this house to get away from my parents, and now that I've got my own place, I kind of thought I would like having my own place, but the amount of money that I spend and the amount of energy it takes to keep this house up, from the yard to the maintenance to the utilities, I really can't afford to go out on the weekends. I can't afford to go out to eat the Mexican food. We've got a Mexican restaurant right here, right outside the door here, here at my office in Northport. And they say, you know what? I would be better off moving back in with mom and dad if I could, moving back to the basement. I would be better off. We've had some people do this. I would be better off paying cash for a mobile home or a camper that I could live in and put on my family's land. And I could take my house that I currently have. I already have a mortgage on it. I already got approved for it. I already closed on it. And if you can more than break even, all right, if your mortgage payment is $12.96 per month, and you can rent it out for $1,400 a month, well, now you've got somebody else paying your house payment. Okay. Now, is that fun to kind of go backwards? It's not, right? But what would be worse would be staying in that bad situation and living, paycheck to paycheck, being house poor and never getting ahead. So would it be worth it to move back in, or would it be, worth it to move backwards? Some people even have like, I know people that in this area where like their family has, a little plot of land somewhere. There's like a cabin on the property. Maybe it's a little bit rustic, not as nice as what they live in every day, but they could go live there for free, right? Or, I mean, the market's coming down. You can buy a really nice camper these days for $15,000-$20,000. I went earlier today. I looked at a couple single wide mobile homes as investments. All right, around $15,000 to $20,000. One of them was totally remodeled. And it was really stinking nice. So, like, if I was in that position, I think I would be able to put my ego aside and move out of my house right now. All right, on our mini farm that we live on, we've got some land and a house. I think I could move out of that house, rent it, and I think I could pay cash for a $15,000 to $20,000 mobile home and put it somewhere if it meant me getting ahead financially, right? Other people might think I was crazy. That's okay, right? You're going to have to do things a little bit different, and your life's going to look a little bit different, and your finances are going to look a little bit different if you want to be different than everybody else, right? Everybody else works until they die. Everybody else works until they can't work anymore, and then they have to sell all their crap, give it to the government so they can go live in a nursing home. All right, that's not what I want. I hope that's not what you want. So there's nothing wrong with going backwards. Okay, going backwards for a couple years might allow you to go forward for the rest of your life. Okay, so would it be worth it to go backwards? Maybe so. Strategy number 4 This is, if you can do this, this is the best way, and it's the easiest, and it's the fastest, and it's the way that I was able to do it. Okay. It's the way I was able to eliminate my housing expense. All right. I'm not quite to the point where I'm financially independent. I'm probably at the 3-year mark of the 5-year plan. Just being totally honest with you, I've got about $6,000 per month passive coming in. That's profit every month coming in. I need to be a little bit further along before I'm totally at the point where I feel like I'm financially free. But 6,000 a month compared to where I was, compared to where I started, I've come a long way. Okay, and it starts small. Starts with step one. Okay, so step number four. Step number four is a home equity line of credit. Okay, a HELOC. If you might have heard the term HELOC, but maybe you didn't understand what it meant. I'm about to explain it to you. I had a member of the Cash-Flow Breakfast Club that came to the office today, just getting started, and they own a house right now that they currently owe about $150K on. All right, so they have a mortgage. They're paying it down. They're a little bit ahead of schedule. This house is on some family land. They don't want to sell it. And this property recently appraised for about $350K, which means if they sold this house, they would have about $200,000. Well, the problem is they don't want to sell it because it's on family land, and they've been living there and they're happy there. So what a home equity line of credit is it's a line of credit against this number right here. Okay. So I'm going to erase this so I can keep doing some math here on the board. And hopefully you can see this pretty good. But generally what they do is they go, they'll get an appraisal of your property, 350K times 90%. Okay. I think that roughly works out to 315,000. And obviously, there's a mortgage already in place for 150,000. But that means that, if these numbers turn out to be true, and I hope it is for her sake, that means she's going to have a line of credit for $165,000. All right. And if you get the right product with a home equity line of credit, you don't do a cash out, but you do a true line of credit. It's like having a credit card, in this case, for $165,000. So what she can do, all right, what I did with mine, all right, when I went out and got my home equity line of credit, what I did was, I followed the debt-free principles. I kind of have coined that. I've actually got a book coming out soon called The Debt-Free Investor. What I have done is I have gone out and I've taken my line of credit, okay? The good thing about this, having this giant credit card, is that if you just let it sit there and you don't do anything with it, you don't owe any money on a monthly basis. But let's say you took out $100,000 to go buy a property and fix it up. Okay, let's say it costs $70,000 to buy the property and it costs $30,000 to fix the property up. You could take out $100,000 from your line of credit, and you would pay a monthly interest payment based on the $100,000 that you took out. And let's say you paid an interest payment. Okay, it's probably going to be around $500, $600, $700 depending on your interest rate to take out that $100,000. But now you were able to go buy a property and renovate it without having to get a hard money lender, without having to get another mortgage, without having to borrow the money from a family member. You've got this giant credit card, and anytime you want to use it, they will let you use it for whatever you want to use it for, which is dangerous because a lot of people go out and they pay off their cars, they pay off their credit cards, and now they've got a new monthly payment when they could have used it to actually get ahead. All right, so please, 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 I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a real estate guy. But please don't take out a line of credit to pay off your credit cards and lump all your debt into one payment. That we'll get to that later. That's coming down on step 2 and step 3, okay? But let's say you took out $70,000 to buy a property, $30,000 to fix it up. You sell that property for $150,000. You pay off the $100,000 and now you're left with $50,000 in profit. Okay. There are markets out there right now in Alabama. Let me erase this. There are markets out there in Alabama, not in Tuscaloosa. Okay. Not in Tuscaloosa. You can't get them for this price in Tuscaloosa. But there are markets out there in Alabama where a $30,000 to $50,000 property will bring you in $800 to $1,200 per month. Okay? So here's the debt-free investor strategy. This is what I personally use. You don't have to do it this way. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. I took my home equity line of credit, bought a house, fixed it up, sold it for a profit. Bought a house, fixed it up, sold it for a profit. Every time I did this, I paid off the home equity line of credit so I could go do it again and again and again and again. And these home equity line of credits normally are open for like 7 to 10 years. So I've got a 10-year one. So for 10 years, I've got a line of credit where I can go buy a house, fix it up, sell it for a profit, pay off the home equity line of credit, and then go do it again. Just rinse and repeat. So, right here, 30 to 50,000. Let's say you go flip 2 houses, you make 40,000 on each one, so $80,000 sitting in your operating account. Well, now you can take 30,000 to 50,000, take your profits from those flips, and now go pay cash for one of these. And every time you do that now, again, the average of that is $1,000 a month. On average, every time you flip a house or you flip 2 or 3 and you go out and make profit on that, you take your profit from the flips, you turn around and pay cash for affordable houses that are going to bring in around $1,000 a month. And every time you do this, your monthly income increases by $1,000 a month. You have no debt on those properties. You don't have a mortgage payment. All right. You're not getting $1,000 a month and then paying a $650, mortgage payment every month. You're getting $1,000 a month and you're basically on the hook for taxes and insurance, right? Maybe $150 a month. So, right now I've got 2 properties that are vacant. I wish they weren't vacant. I wish they were filled. But, 2 weeks ago, my kids were out on fall break. We went up to the mountains, did the indoor water park for a few days. I wasn't stressing about paying mortgage payments because those 2 houses are paid for. All right. So that's just a little nugget for you. That's one thing that I believe in. That's what's in my book that I'm currently writing. Hopefully it will be out very soon on Amazon and on Audible. But that's what it means to be a debt-free investor. All right. We take our HELOC, we go and purchase properties that need to be fixed up. We buy them, we fix them up, we sell them for a profit. We put our profits in a savings account. And when we have enough profit saved up, we go pay cash for an affordable house. All right. Now, you might eventually start branching out and doing different things, and you might start taking on some 30-year mortgages on some of your properties. You might start buying more expensive stuff. But in the beginning, all we're trying to do is eliminate our housing expenses. Right. So how many paid for houses at $1,000 a month do you need to pay your mortgage payment right now? For most people, it's 1 or 2, maybe 3, depending on what kind of mortgage payment you have on your house currently. So again, that's 4 ways that you can totally eliminate your housing expense today in this economy with inflation and interest rates and housing prices being where they are. You can still win. We're still winning. We would love to help you win. Again, click the link below. Come to one of our meetings. See if it's really for you or not. Click the link below. Schedule a time on my calendar. Let's help you get financially independent within the next 5 years. I hope this video was able to help.